Welcome back, everyone. We are here for Game 2 between Mouse and Meteor Makers. Game 1 was definitely exciting, but Mouse, at the end of it, came out on top with phenomenal play, good map movements, and let's see whether they can replicate that once again. I'm still Goose the Grey. With me again, it's the Siglas, and I'm looking forward to this game.
Yeah, I am too. I want to touch on something interesting right off the bat here, though, which is the Alistair third ban coming out of Mouse. I'm kind of surprised they didn't just try and pick it. Maybe they want to run a similar comp to last game. Don't change what isn't broken, or don't fix what isn't broken. Beansu is immediately going to lock into Nautilus, and I like that as a first pick from them, actually, because it is versatile. You know, it could be support, could be top lane. We've seen Beansu play it a lot, but that doesn't mean that Mountain can't, and I think with Alistair banned out, this is now forcing MYM to look a bit further afield for some support picks. So I would like to see them lock in one in the first rotation, though, actually.
See what they do decide to go for. This might be an Azir picked up. Currently hovering that one. React played a very good Victor, in my opinion. Held even quite well with Zio on that Ziggs, and considering how good Zio is, I mean, just remember the Pentacle on Ezreal yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Yep. That was actually just a day ago. That's quite a feat, just keeping even with him. Of course, Thresh is also banned out, so that one isn't an available support, which really limits the choices that Meteor Makers still have. For now, they're going to go for Gragas and Azir, and I already like the Gragas pick. Like, that is something they can use. It's a pick that Halpern is comfortable on, and that he tried to make things happen. It didn't quite work out last game, mainly because Meteor Makers got pushed around by Mouse the entire time, but it's definitely something they can try and use to get ahead this time.
The problem now for MYM is what happens if, like, Mousesports picks Lulu again, right? So they pick away, like, one of the few remaining supports that you really want to be playing. I think they're going to have a pretty tough time in the bottom lane if they do that. So the Gangplank would be interesting. The rework hasn't come through on the Tournament Realm yet. I do think if it had, that would be legitimate, but they're taking their time on it. I think the Kale could be pretty good. Dan, though, going to lock in that Lee Sin again. Obviously, as we said, one of the champions he's very well known for, and Lulu. So this is shaping up to be a similar comp to last time. I wonder if MYM... I feel like they could actually pick Vayne here. Like,
so far it's 3 out of 5 for the same comp out of Mouse. So let's see whether they do actually go for Vayne and what they have last time? Oh, Lulu, right? And the mid laner Ziggs. Let's see whether they take the same thing again. I doubt they'll actually take Ziggs.
I think MYM should pick Vayne here, though, is what I'm saying, because it's actually quite... It's a bit of a problem against depth charge, because you can't, like, tumble to dodge it or anything. It just locks onto you and it goes and goes and goes. But against something like a Lee Sin, it's decent. You just knock him away when he tries to engage. Against Lulu, you can't do that much to a Vayne. It's going to be hard to get close enough to polymorph. So Sivir is an option. Jinx is an interesting one. That suggests to me that MYM want to push quite a lot, which I think is going to be tough against having a Lulu on the other team, especially if they go for the same Ziggs pick. How are you going to shove into that? I mean, Jinx, yeah, it's a strong pick, but I think Sivir or Vayne would have been better here. You're going to have to see if it works out for them. Mouse have the option, if they want to do exactly the same thing. There's the Vayne. Are we going to see the Ziggs? Ziggs versus Azir would actually be a decent mid lane, too. Relatively safe. You can just farm and push with your Q. I think Azir might have a bit of a better time shoving back compared to Victor, which is what was played last game, but at the same time, oh, that'd be interesting.
Ooh, this could be really interesting.
Oh,
so many
options. Lane Lulu?
I'm scared about Jinx though. Like, yes, there's the Morgana with the Black Shield, and that's about all they have. If the depth charge comes through, Jinx doesn't really have anything to try and keep herself safe. And now with the Syndra in there as well, Jinx can get deleted real quick. So this is a lot of risk here, and actually quite a difficult setup, in my opinion, for Meteor Makers that they've shoehorned themselves into, while Mouse, once again, they've got that huge threat on Vayne that can get protected really, really, really well between Nautilus and Lulu. And then they've got a secondary threat on Zio with that Syndra. You cannot ignore Syndra when she stands next to you.
Yeah, I mean, they've made a trade-off here, Mousesports have. They've decided, okay, we're going to focus less on sieging, which was already an issue for them. And we're going to focus more on team fighting and maybe getting some picks with Syndra. That could work out for them. I think having that burst against a squishier team of MYM could actually be pretty good. Like, Sophie last game was playing Tom Kench, which, you know, not exactly squishy. But they don't have the Alistair support on Clash Spic this time. So there's a missing tank there too, which I think they need. So I'm going to give Champ Select to Mouse, actually, pretty convincingly, I would say. It's going to depend on whether or not MYM can make things happen with Halpern in the laning phase and snowball off of that to get towers. Because if they don't get towers early, I don't know, I think they're going to have a really tough time later on in the game. And Vayne, like, Azir is a decent pick. When it comes to stopping Vayne from doing what she wants, the wall does make her life kind of difficult when it comes to moving around teamfight and being as target agnostic as she would like to be. But at the same time, you know, they have a multitude of ways of just deleting Azir with maybe the Syndra. So, yeah, interesting picks by MYM. I don't agree with all of them, but maybe they'll prove me wrong. I'd like to see them do that. Jinx, if she gets going, can compete with Vayne in the late game. One of the few AD carries that can. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, but she has to stay safe. And that's something that is going to be extremely difficult in this game when there is point-and-click crowd control on the other team. And not just one, but two. So it's going to be difficult. They're going to try, but I don't think Mouse will make it very easy on them. And then I think a lot of this will actually come down to the Gnar Nautilus matchup. Can Sylphie on that theoretically potential carry top laner actually make it happen, get that frozen Maladin, and then force the fights when Meet Your Makers want them? Because that was what we saw last time. Mouse forced Meet Your Makers to play to their tune, basically, to dance to whatever they were doing, to whatever they commanded. So Mouse made the moves, and Meet Your Makers were reacting. What's going to be really important here is that gets turned on its head a bit, that Meet Your Makers makes a couple moves, even more so as now they need to play around that rage bar from Gnar. If they don't manage that, if Mouse are able to play around that and force the fight when the rage bar isn't up, that's another thing that's just going to go hugely in favor of Mouse. So I want to see Meet Your Makers try to come in here with a game plan, try to utilize that Gragas for a couple of early game aggressive moves, get a kill, get maybe 2 kills onto Sylphie, and then use that to go into the mid-game team fights with a strong confidence and a strong top-line tank to double up with a huge damage out of Azir and Jinx, and then snowball off of that. See whether they're able to do it.
I'd really like to see Mousesports do a lane swap here, actually, because I think in the bottom lane, Stampy and Clashpic do have the potential to make Cedrian and Mountain's life very difficult. They have a lot of crowd control. The spell shield is going to mitigate Glitter Lance, which is a big deal. And similarly, Sylphie, I think, is in a strong position to beat Beansu in lane. So, although Beansu won't necessarily farm very well in a 1 versus 2 compared to Sylphie, he doesn't need to. Sylphie scales better with items than Beansu does. Beansu just needs to be there to depth charge, to use his passive, to slow people. None of those things scale with gold. They just scale with levels. Mountain needs to be careful here, actually.
Yeah, the exhaust is already out. He's forced a flash. So a nice little catch there, not going to be the kill. The exhaust for the flash, still worth it.
Yeah, and look at where Cedrian is moving right now. I think they are going to initiate this lane swap, which, as I just said, I think that is a great decision. They do not want to be going in either of these lane matchups in top or bot. But remember last game, we also saw the lane swap. And or actually, no, sorry, we didn't see the lane swap, but what we did see was Vayne going top at the very beginning for a little while. So I think this time MYM needs to deal with it better. Like, they can't just let Cedrian farm like last time.
We'll see whether they're able to prevent that from happening. Not going to be easy, especially now in that lane swap. Of course, both the junglers knew where the enemy was. They started at one another's red buffs. They have the top laners with them. Very, very standard, although on Meet Your Maker's side, Morgana has actually joined in for the make. Oh, the body slam flash and the Dark Binding follow up. Sylphie getting that first blood. That's going to be huge.
That'll do. As a nice early game start for MYM. This is exactly the kind of choices they need to be making. Very nice pickup onto Zio. If he falls behind, reacts, Azir might struggle a little bit in the mid lane. Has a lot of damage, but at the same time, React can poke constantly with those soldiers from a relatively safe distance too. Now, as a result of Klashkvik roaming towards that mid lane, it is giving Binsu some time to farm. But I like what he is doing now going up to this top lane, and I like what Mountain's doing in response too. Mountain plus Binsu is actually like a decent 2 versus 2 lane, so long as they don't mind giving Mountain some of the farm, because they can shove out the waves quickly with Riptide and Glitterlance, which is going to be important. Cedrian, though, he might need some help here. He doesn't have good ability to clear waves early on.
Yeah, so Lulu's going back up to the top lane. But man, what a decision to keep Morgana with her team right off the get-go. Go for that first jungle camp and then move into the mid lane very, very early on. Zio not standing a chance. Not flashing either, which is a good choice there. But, you know, giving up first blood over to the enemy team, never something you really want to do early on. And Jinx now going to be happily farming away underneath her own turret. I really think she's going to be quite content just sitting there and waiting. Syndra is trying to make the first couple plays, not quite managing just yet. And here goes Morgana again, being very aggressive. The Black Shield is on. Azir would be around. Oh, the Dark Binding misses. Now Lee still goes in. He wants more. Dan being very aggressive. Won't find anything more. Safeguards back out.
Dan did a great job of just ducking and diving around all of those skill shots. Not allowing himself to take any return harassment for the poke that he was doing there. Klashkvik needs to find himself a home ASAP. Going early game and roaming around is fair enough, and he did get a lot out of it, but if he doesn't go somewhere soon, he's going to have a severe level discrepancy. Similarly, Mountain is kind of being a bit wishy-washy at the moment in terms of picking where to go. I think he needs to probably head up towards this top lane and start pushing ASAP, or down at the bottom lane to help Binsu deal with this wave. One of the two. Being near mid right now, there's no real potential for a kill onto React, especially given the fact that Zio died early on and is kind of weak, so yeah, I think he needs to make something happen here.
Back up to the top lane, just supporting Cedrian. They're shoving that wave in ever so slowly. And CS number's fairly okay. Nar's a bit behind though, so he needs to see that he catches most of that wave underneath the turret. Of course, it isn't really very easy on Gnar to CS under the turret at level 2. So he's going to be doing his best. And of course, he is at least ranged, so he has a decent chance with that. But still going to miss quite a few here. That's just going to make it harder. Jinx is free to push out that bot lane because the Rift Scuttler gives a huge amount of vision. And Lee Sin is trying to go into the enemy jungle again. Will he find something? Currently just sitting around there. Has to back off out because Gragas did know he was there.
So, I can't help but talk about Vayne a lot, because she is the champion that I play most. And I want to highlight a key difference between this game and last game. This game, Vayne has decided to max Tumble first. Now, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Not only is she actually in a 2 versus 2 lane this time, although a slightly strange one, she also needs to dodge bindings and boomerang tosses. Last game, she didn't have as much that she needed to worry about, so I like the fact that Cedrian is being reactive with his skill build as well as his items, and actually putting down a lot of harass with the fact that Tumble allows you to be more proactive in lane, try and get in there, get some damage down, and then back off.
If that Black Shield hadn't been there, Sophie would have gotten stunned into the wall, and I think that would have been really, really dangerous. He would have taken an immense amount of damage, and he's already struggling to pick up these minions. Does have the teleport, so he could try to decide to go for that and quickly recall back to the top lane. And he'll go Mega Gnar soon, though. And look at Zio. He's going quite low. He's trying to bait, though. But with Gragas coming in, it would be a 2 versus 2. Zio here is going to spot Gragas fairly early on. He gets the ultimate down, but he's so low, and the kill is being picked up by Gragas already. Now Lee Sin needs to return. He did get the smite down on a minion. Does pick up the kill. And Azir is out of mana, so he can take a second one. But a 1-for-1 exchange there. Zio at least picking up one.
Yeah, I mean, it's good news for Zio that he got the kill versus Halpern getting the kill in his duo for that fight. You want those to be going over to your mid laners, especially ones like this who scale quite nicely. I mean, obviously React on Azir is going to be a monster late game if he gets a lot of kills. Zio similarly, although more weighted towards the mid game, is going to be doing a lot of damage, so Halpern picking it up isn't ideal. But at the same time, that was very aggressive by Zio and Dan, and it almost did not work. If React had any more mana, I think they wouldn't have gone for it, because Dan would definitely have been dead.
Yeah, so right now, back to the status quo of top lane being pushed in by Mouse. They're sending Mountain and Cedrian still up here. Those Glitter Lances doing great work, and Sylphie just being forced off the tower time and again. And that means he's now actually a considerable 17 minions behind Nautilus down here, who's just really been sitting underneath his turret happily and farming away, because Senpai has just been pushing in that lane, but isn't able to do anything to that tanky monster that Nautilus is at this stage of the game.
The thing is, if Sampi had vision control around his lane, more so than just the one ward in Tribush, what he could do is just throw down Flame Chompers on Nautilus or on the minions, and then use Minigun to put out good damage. But because Clash Quebec has been roaming around, mostly been top, it's hampered Sampi's ability to actually make any plays onto Nautilus. And that's something I wanted to touch on anyway. Clash Quebec, he was doing a good job of helping out top lane when it was important for him to be there. But now that Sylphie is a little bit tankier and healthier, I think he should be going towards this bottom lane and shoving it out. Because at the moment, the 2 versus 1s between the two teams are definitely going in favor of Mouse. Even with the CS deficit on Vayne, she is just getting more out of it in terms of pressure. Which, you know, there's no pressure coming out of Sampi.
Yeah, look at Morgana back in the mid lane yet again. The ultimate from Syndra goes down onto Morg. That's not going to be enough. Another kill picked up here by Azir. Dan's still looking to follow up, but he can't get to Morgana quickly enough. Won't be able to pick up that kill. And it's the same story over and over again. Meteor Maker's pulling Morgana in, pulling Lee Sin in, and then fighting that mid lane out. And it's working very, very well. Gragas, I meant, of course, not Lee Sin.
So as a result of that, I want to rescind my previous statement. Clash Quebec, having picked up now 2 kills in the mid lane, is winning out in pressure, right? Up until that point, I think that the top lane was just going so well in favor of Beansu that I'd argue they were ahead in it, but now that that's not working out so well because there's so much going on in the mid lane, Clash Quebec is doing the right thing. But now, you see, finally he's moving down to the bot lane to meet Mountain and Cedrine in the 2 versus 2. Mountain actually getting bound up here.
Ooh, the Flame Chompers hit as well, and with that rocket, it's going to be the kill. Sempi picking that up. Overconfident. Like, that's all you can say. Mountain was not allowed to be there.
Without a ward in the Tribush, he should have been worried for a rotation, and he flashed and still died. That is horrible for Mountain. So MYM, they're doing what they need to do in this matchup, and they're getting an edge early on. If they pick up this Dragon too, that's going to be a very solid advantage for them. But top lane, Beansu is putting down the hurt onto Sylphie. He is 2 levels up, 20 CS in the lead. And with Dan coming up here, they know that Halpern is near the Dragon. Maybe they could even go for the tower. Clash Quebec, he's got another binding!
Yeah, back in the mid lane again with the exhaust. Easy kill. React is now 2-0-2, and they got the Dragon. So 5-1 in kills at this point. Meteor Makers, this is a completely different team from last time.
And Zio, buddy, you got a ward better. You know, like, he's got wards in the river. He's got an excess of wards, or, you know, not an excess of wards, that's MYM. He has the 1 ward in the side bush. But that doesn't actually give him any vision of the ramp, so long as they hug the wall. So MYM can just walk up there, and they've came that way every single time. Like, if they're not coming from the river bush, you probably don't need to ward it as much as you need to ward the bush by your red buff.
Yeah, now Meteor Maker's going back down to the bot lane, see if they can pick up another kill there. It's not going to be the case this time around. Sylphie happily cleaning out top. He needs to catch up to Nautilus, because right now Nautilus is a big threat to deal with. He's got that Bomby Cinder, he's got 92 CS. That is actually the same amount as Jinx has on the enemy team. So, must be feeling pretty good about himself right now. But Meteor Makers, the rest of their team is doing really, really well. Maybe Azir is behind 1 minion or 2 at a time, but he's just got 2 kills and 2 assists. He's got that Morellonomicon. Come on, Sven. Finished already, and Jinx has the BF sword. They've got these first big items, and from here on out, they can just work with what they have and get a little bit stronger. Gnar almost has the Frozen Mallet. That's going to be huge for the next big fight. First Dragon was taken for free. The next one can be fought over, and with that teleport, Sylphie at that point will be really, really, really scary.
I want to talk items real quick, because I really find it strange what Zio's gone for this game. He's gone for 2 Doran's Rings. Now, a lot of the times that's really good, because it gives you earlier ability to insta-kill the ranged minions, right? Against someone like an Azir, that's important because he's going to be trying to shove you in a lot. But because he's going for the Luden's Echo first, and he was going to be buying a lot of AP anyway, Boots would have been a better choice, I think, given how much he's being ganked. They might have helped him get out of some sticky situations. Alternatively, now that he's level 9, I think he needs to prioritize getting an upgraded yellow trinket. We've seen constantly how much he's being pressured. More wards could only help that situation.
He needs more wards. Definitely a fact. Grog is at least also picking up a Sightstone. He's going to help his team out. Lee Sin not even there yet, simply because he doesn't have that kill and he's got 1 assist less than Gragas. However, he does have a good deal more minions. The question is that enough? He's still only 500, not even 500 gold ahead. He doesn't have that Sightstone yet. Does have 800 gold in his inventory, so he can get it once he recalls, but it's just this matter of when you have certain items, and it's been allowing Gragas to move deep inside the enemy jungle, and he's gonna come around into the mid lane yet again.
Oh, Zio!
Flash barely misses. Oh, and a great flash by Zio. Keeps him safe from the explosive cast.
Zio is just the focus of all the pressure right now. Stampy does get that resonating strike onto him, but he's going to be able to back away from that. No insect possible on the side of Dan. Or
now Gragas and Azir are moving bot. They're going to find Lee Sin on the backside. Gragas has been spotted out, though. It is a tense situation. It would be a 4 versus 3 with both top laners having teleport. Sin is still hanging around. So is Gragas, but Azir has gone back to mid. Here they go.
Oh,
the teleport is coming in. Great black shield to prevent the kickback, but it's not going to be enough. Because Morgana is there with the ultimate, because a huge teleport from Beansu cleans up basically everything. Cedrion still staying alive. Nar, you are in here way too late. Has to flash out, and it is a clean 3-4-0. What a fight out of Mouse.
That was all Beansu, man. That was a beautiful ultimate. Knocked up 2 key members right as they were trying to get away. And he got his passive onto all 3 of those guys at some point during the fight, making sure they had no option to get out of there. Dan, though, got to be a little bit careful here.
Oh, he's got backup. He's still got a Lulu. Lulu, by the way, huge wild growth in that last team fight as well. That really made a big difference. 3-man knockup. And they're trying to shove down this turret. Azir coming around to help and prevent that, but that just gives Syndra more time to free farm in the mid lane. Yes, she was behind early. Yes, she's died 4 times, but she stayed even in CS. And that is a huge factor, especially for Mouse going forward. He now has free farm time in lane. He's going to trade that middle turret for all that bottom damage, unless Jinx manages to save it, which he most likely will. But it's really difficult right now for Meteor Makers. They had this nice advantage, and then that fight just changed everything.
Yeah, Mouse doing a really good job of coming back into this. I don't think they're going to be able to defend this, though. Cedrion!
Yeah, he got caught out. Beautiful ultimate out of React. That's exactly what he needed to do. Goes in there, picks up a kill. They're going to take the turret as well, while Jinx is still defending mid lane. And everything, you know, kind of recovered a little bit. Mid-tower still goes down, though.
That was a beautiful Shurima shuffle coming out of React, actually. Kind of the equivalent of Lee Sin's Insect, but for Azir. Just goes behind them, uses the Empire's Divide to push Cedrion out, and of course he didn't really have much to get out of there. I'm kind of surprised that Mouse decided to stay and defend the turret, given that they didn't really have much capacity to do so. I don't know, I would have liked to see them just back, get items, and then maybe push for Drain, which is going to be up soon. As a result of just ditching that, they've actually given MYM the chance to kill the tower, and now they're going to have a kill on top of that to back off of, buy more items to make the next dragon fight a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, and Vayne has already got that Blade of the Ruined King. Syndra has that Luden's Echo plus a Fiendish Codex. There is the Sunfire Cape completed on Nautilus. The big couple of first item spikes have arrived for the side of Mousesports. And you can see Jinx still on the BF sword and the pickaxe. She's got a little bit of gold in her inventory. About
Dan!
Oh, what a beautiful explosive cast. Dan here has to try to run for his life. He is the jungler. Once he goes down, not really getting any chance at that dragon, but Sophie in the backline eats the Syndra ultimate. The depth charge going to follow him, but that's not going to be enough to kill him. Just barely surviving. And both teams here are trying to limp away. The dragon's still aggroed by Meteor Makers. They took a good amount of damage from that. But I don't think the teams want to back off just yet. Nautilus on a flanking mission. He's right on the backside. Wants to find Sylphie. Won't manage. And where does he go from here on out? Is he going to go for Meteor Makers? The rest of the team sitting in that Tribush area. Clearing out a ward. As Mouse start off the dragon. Grim taking a little bit of damage. A good stun, being black shielded. Morgana with the dog fighting and misses. Here goes Lulu. The dragon is smited away. And Halpern, you're still way out in the front line. You're going to go down. That is way too much damage for you to survive. They give the kill over to Cedrion. And the Shurima's Emperor's Divide. Sorry, that's it. Was used without any effect whatsoever.
That whole exchange was so messy. I mean, right at the beginning, Beamsu and Zio burnt way too much on the Sylphie. That depth charge could have actually just netted MYM the dragon, because it was used in such a careless way. But then, off the back of that, Halpern, thinking he could contest when the rest of his team had been poked and backed off, there was no chance of that happening. We also saw Cedrion put himself in the back of the dragon pit when all of MYM were near him. So many things were just messy in that fight and could have gone even worse potentially, especially for Mouse. Had MYM capitalized on it, I would argue.
At the end of the day, though, they are even in towers, 1 kill behind, but even in dragons as well, and up 1,400 gold. So Mouse here getting their early game plan through, despite having Zio die 4 times. They're still in this, and Sylphie trying to chase down Beansu with that frozen mallet. There are 5 men up in this top lane. Beansu, you are all alone without any mana. That's going to be an easy kill sooner or later. Not really much that he can do. Actually, he survived for way too long. He's sidestepping everything in the shield. He even flashes the mountain is there trying to keep him alive. Where's that wild growth? It isn't quite available. So at the end of the day, Beansu still dies. He survived way longer than he should have. But Mouse have no way of really replying right now.
This is one of the problems with having Vayne split push. Unless you have a static shiv, you just have no wave clear, right? So she's in the bot lane, and she's like, oh my god, there's 5 members top lane. This is a dream situation. I'll get the tower. And then she's like, oh, hang on a second. I need like 2 hours, guys.
She's still gonna get it though. And because there was no minion wave, Meet Your Makers wasn't able to do the same thing top. So they burned a lot of time and a lot of effort just in order to get 1 kill on Beansu. And in exchange, they lose the bottom outer turret. So another forced play out of them. They have the feeling, hey, we need to make a move. Hey, we need to make an engage happen. We need to find a pick. And they do. But they lose even more in return. So Mouse making the right decisions here.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing which maybe Mouse didn't need to do there is burn Mountain's Flash, right? That was a little bit overly, I don't know, overly optimistic is maybe the best way
I think he didn't realize that Lulu didn't have her ultimate yet. So, the ultimate from Silver, not quite enough. Jinx gets away with a sliver of HP, and now Morgana tries to chase, flashes forward, Soul Shackles go down. A perfect Dragon's Rage kick. Disengage that map using the wild growth on himself. Sio, no mana, is very, very low. Shurima Shuffle will knock him back, and that's going to be the first kill. Now the teleport comes in. Cedrion in the middle of the fight. Extremely low. Knocked back as well, but he picks up the kill onto Azir. And now Jinx is down as well. The carries are gone. Nautilus is going to chase down Morgana, and only Halpern and Sylphie are left, limping away from that one. 3 for 1 after everything is said and done.
Well, that's why they call it a protect the Vayne comp, or protect the AD carry comp. Cedrion, with plenty of shields on him, was able to deal with getting Shurima shuffled into the backline of MYM, and I think, you know, had Sampy not taken so much before that fight, maybe that would have worked out, but great everything there by Mouse. You know, the Dragon's Rage to stop Clash Kvix, Soul Shackles was really important. Had they had to engage that fight further back in the lane, it would have made MYM's life a lot easier. And on top of that, you know, the fact that they were able to stop Sylphie from getting a good ultimate was a big deal as well. They fought directly in the center of the lane. Like, there are no walls there for you to knock things into, only the one tower, basically.
Another big thing, though, is Syndra doesn't have Azania's Hourglass. Vayne doesn't have any defensive items. Lulu hasn't even completed the Mikhail's Crucible. And Wild Growth was used on Lulu, not Vayne. Now imagine how much more terrifying these fights can get when there's more of a gold lead than these 3,500 gold. When there's more of a gold lead, when there's more of a kill lead in this game. And oh my goodness, Morgana, you die fast when Syndra decides it's game over for you.
Yeah, she just got disintegrated, and actually the blue's gonna get stolen away too. That is bad news for React, because I believe this is the patch before his changes to his passive, right? Oh, he gets killed here as well.
Yeah, he's gonna go down. Right? Oh, he gets over the wall!
What?
The dash from the soldier saves his life, just barely. Lulu not able to put the glitter lance into his backside and pick that one up. So he survives, But again, it shows how dominant Mouse are right now. They just waltz into the enemy jungle, nearly take out the enemy mid laner for absolutely free. And then they move around the map. Now they're going up top. They've caught Sempe. What can he really do? Dan is still on top of him. The Dragon's Rage not available. And he's going to safeguard back out. Of course, Black saving him. Now Sylphie wants to find the fight. Halpern is here with the explosive cast. There's Gnar. Can he get a good ultimate down? No, he cannot. There's another safeguard. Keeps Lee Sin completely safe, completely disengaged. And Mouse walk away without really burning anything.
Where is the coordination from Meet Your Makers? Sylphie had the most beautiful opportunity to go in there, but he backed off, then Halpern goes in. There is no coordination, no communication, and as a result of that, a great opportunity to come back completely passes Meet Your Makers by. I can't actually believe that Sylphie didn't just pull the trigger there. That Gnar ultimate would have been massive.
Didn't go for it. Too afraid with his entire team, and I think a lot of that just stems from how the last fight went. They lost that one quite decisively, despite theoretically getting a good engage onto the carries. They managed to get the Shurima shuffle onto Zio, onto Cedrian. The wild growth was burned beforehand, and they still lost. So this time around, even though they had a decent engage, they were like, but can we really win this? And Sylphie is 70 CS behind Nautilus. They're trying to go for this dragon right now, but it's dangerous. It's a 5 versus 5 situation, and the team fights, we go in by empirical data, we're won by Mouse. Now, can they get in here before the dragon goes down? Yes, they can. They've managed to reset it, at least a little bit. Now it's fighting Binsu, trying to take him down. Meet Your Makers have been pushed off at least a little bit. Now, who's going to be the one to pull the trigger? Binsu has his ultimate. Where is it? He gets the dredge line onto Morgana. The dragon is picked up by Mouse. And this is going to be the trigger for the fight. Morgana dies right off the bat. A good ultimate by Sylphie, but will it be enough? The Jinx not doing enough damage. A triple kill for Vayne. I do believe a quadra kill at this point. Will he get? No, he won't get any more than that, because Nautilus picks up the last one. Not even a quadra.
That really was, it must have been demoralizing for Meet Your Makers, because all of those big teamfight ultimates went about as well as you could want them to. Emperor's Divide knocked like 4 people into the right area. There's a huge Gnar ultimate. Everything was going fine, but the damage coming out of Mousesports is way too much for them to deal with right now. Sylphie is not tanky enough. Halpern is almost not tanky at all. And of course, they're using a Morgana on Clash Quebec this time around instead of Alistair. So they just got melted. This game is going out of control at this point for MYM. Sylphie trying to go on to Binsu here. They might be able to pick this one up. Oh, that binding! Looking for the steal there.
That was actually really close. If Dan had messed that up just a tiny bit, that could have gone very, very wrong. But Mouse pick up a free dragon, free Baron, I mean, after that fight. And even Binsu got away from Gnar. But yeah, as you said, like, it was a demoralizing fight. On the other hand, Morgana got caught by the dredge line and then got annihilated. Didn't get the ultimate down, didn't get the exhaust down either. And they need that mitigation. That's why they picked the exhaust up. That is one of their tools to keep Vayne a little bit smaller in the fight so they can focus down Zio and then refocus onto Vayne once that exhaust times out. Doesn't work for them in that fight. And that is... They have the tools, but they're not able to utilize them. Now React going in, 1 versus 2 basically. I don't think he knew that a second person was there, but with Sylphie coming out now, there's a teleport into the backside mountain using the Mikhail's Crucible on himself. Binsu in the middle of 4 enemies. Don't think that's exactly where he wanted to be, but he just goes forward, and the rest of the team is there to follow up. React somehow survives, but that leaves Sempe right in the front line. He's going to get taken out. Morgana losing a lot of HP. Sylphie in the back line, not able to do anything. This Unleashed Power takes him out, and Lee Sin with a perfect Sonic Wave to finish that one off. Gets the kill onto Azir, and Grog is the only man left alive. The heal from Vayne gonna give them the movement speed they need, and that's gonna be the surrender vote coming out. GG, well played. Mouse with a commanding victory after only 26 minutes.
Seems to be how these games are going, right? Yesterday we had like a 45-minute game, then a 20-minute game. Same thing today. Seems like once a team figures the other one out, they're able to just push for those wins very quickly. Now, you know, Mouse, I want to give them props, because last game, they really struggled to push their lead and get objectives due to the fact that their comp is bad at sieging. This time around, they just went for it. They just went for those fights, made them happen, instead of trying to take it slow, and it worked beautifully. And also, Binsu, man, this game, 5 for 1 for 12, that was incredible play coming out of him. That last fight where he was 1 versus 4, he tanked for days, man. No one had the damage to deal with him.
Yeah, that was definitely very devastating, and just it was an even stronger game out of Mouse. They had this time around just an absolutely dominating performance on every single lane. It started with, Nautilus being in a 1v1 lane against Sempe, and Sempe not having any chance to keep that champion down. And then Sylphie had to lane 1 versus 2. Despite all the kills that they managed to get in the mid lane, it's just not enough when every other lane isn't going well for you. So I think Meteor Makers have to think a little bit about how they want to utilize an early advantage that they do manage to get once they manage to get around to the mid-game team fights. How do they react to what Mouse are doing? Of course, there are still more games to be played, not for this series specifically, because Mouse won this with a 2-0 now. They are overall 2-1 in best of 3 series. So they lost 2 best of 3, they won 2 best of 3s, lost 1. Meteor Makers, I do believe this was their first game, and that would mean, they've still got plenty of chances. It's 8 teams and everyone plays everyone else once. Plenty of chances to still prove themselves against all the other teams here, and they're definitely not out of this.
Absolutely not. And speaking of the next game that we have coming up, guys, it's going to be Tornado Rocks versus Gamers 2. Now, Gamers 2 have played a game so far. They managed to go 2-0 up in their previous game versus Night Inside. But similar to Meet Your Makers, Tornado Rocks haven't played yet. So this is going to be their first time to show us what they're made of, and I can't wait to see it.
I can really just hope that it'll be close to as exciting as these 2 games we got here. The first one really, really close for quite a while until Mouse finally flipped the switch, and this one just an absolutely dominating performance, but really fun to watch. Like, Mouse put on very, very good games. They're exciting. They're not just sitting back and waiting for something to happen, but they're a very proactive team. They make things happen themselves, and if the enemy team doesn't mess up, well, then Mouse just forces them to mess up because they're so, they force them into bad situations. They force them to engage on them when it isn't in favor of the enemies. So I really like their performance, and I think they'll have a pretty good path going forward as well.
All right, well, I think we should probably head to a quick break. Well, relatively quick break. I think it's going to be about an hour until the next set of games, so don't go anywhere, guys. They're going to be awesome. Me and Goose are going to be here bringing them to you. I can't wait.
Yeah, just go eat something, drink something, get a beer, whatever. Many of you in the chat are German, so just get a beer, sit back down at the computer, and we'll be back in around about 54 minutes with the next games. See you then.